you here for? Yeah, man. They don't make the tropical winter here. Oh yeah, I'll call you. I'm standing next to the Capitol right now. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Hey, man. Albany tough.
Wow, that's wild. I can't believe.
Come right in front of you, too. Right here. Right in front of us. That's fine.
Hurry up, people.
You can block the windows, right?
Let's kick it. I want to hear it. One on that side, one on that side. Yeah.
Feeling a lot of love.
Yes, a whole lot of love. We need Harlem on the same over here. Oh, we're going between you. Yeah. All right. So y'all move down a little more. Here we go. Bring me the banner over here. We're going to be on the end. I think we should be in the middle. Yeah, let's be in the middle. Bring the banner. Ella. We done came and changed the whole dynamic. Watch your step. Be careful.
Watch your step. Blocking you,
Okay, put it down so she can get by.
You can go under.
Emily? No, you're going to get in trouble. There, Missy? Janelle, yeah, this hole is. I can't see the better. Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Come in front. Come close.
Yeah, close up look.
What did this ring? Hold on. Yeah, they can see it.
You guys ready? Okay. Does this work? Okay. Thank you for coming, everyone. My name is Pat Fallon. I'm the Executive Director of the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police. We're here today to present our legislative proposal to change the bail reform laws, discovery reform laws, and raise the age laws. I want to say first and foremost that we recognize the need for the change, the initial change in the bail reform laws, discovery reform laws, We realized that there were inequities that needed to be corrected, and we respect that. We're simply today offering some ideas for the legislature for change. We've all seen the rise, the skyrocketing rise in violent crime from one end of the state to the other, and we're offering some positive change. We want to work with the legislature to effect change. In sum and substance, we have a number of proposals. With regard to bail reform, we're basically advocating for the complete removal of cash bail.
Yes, remove cash bail.
So
Cash bail.
we understand that there were inequities in the cash bail system. The cash bail system left people without money in jail, while people with money got out of jail. We understand the need for change there. What we're asking for is the removal of cash bail. And in return, with that, we're asking that the legislature give judges the discretion to remand people to jail.
Yes, yes.
Based on their discretion, and we're asking that the judges that are elected by the people of New York be allowed to consider the defendant's danger to the community, as they're allowed to do in 49 other states. It's a reasonable request. We think that it's fair, and that's what we're asking for here today. With regard to discovery, we understand the need for change. Under the previous system, large amounts of discovery could be dropped on the defense at the last minute. We understand that that's not fair, but the new system is also not fair. The discovery demands are not reasonable, and they're not even attainable. It's not possible. And cases are being lost all over the state because of unreasonable discovery demands. We're also exposing the identities of witnesses and victims to the defendants early on in the process. What we're going to ask for is a tiered system of discovery, where most of the discovery is given to the defense very early on, and then we'll have a tiered system where other items of discovery are brought to the defense in a fair and reasonable timeline. With regard to raise the age, we understand that there was a need for change. And the raising of the age of criminal responsibility to 18 has put many youths in front of youth court. The judges in youth court are not able to see a juvenile offender's criminal history. And we're simply asking that the judge be allowed to see that history. Not the police, not the prosecutor, not the public, just the judge. Because without that, what you have is a system of perpetual first offenders, where the judge has no idea what the person's criminal history is. So those are simple changes that we're asking for. You'll be given complete copies of the legislation, as well as a summary. We have hard copies on hand here today, and they've been emailed to your email accounts. And we have a number of speakers that are going to speak here today. So now I'm going to call our first speaker, and I'm going to call Jackie Rowe Adams from Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me say it again. It is a good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, as you heard, I'm Jackie Rowe Adams, co-founder of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save. Stop another violent end. I am a mother who've lost 2 sons, not 1 son, but 2 sons to gun violence. I carry that pain each day. I'm tired of seeing other parents losing their children to senseless violence. It's becoming all too common in our communities throughout New York State. It is simple. If something is broken, it needs to be fixed.
Right again.
She said, say it again. If something is broken, it needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed.
So, let me tell you, this violence should not be allowed in our communities, and these perpetrators of violence should not be unleashed back in our community neighborhoods. Shortly after they're being arrested for crimes, victims that should be able to engage with our police without fear. We shouldn't live in fear. We should not live in fear. And there needs to be real consequences. You know, as a mother who lost 2 kids to gun violence, I am so sad in my heart, along with the other mothers and fathers and families who watch every day how our kids are getting killed, and we're killing each other. We must stop this violence, and we see no consequences, because they feel it's not going to be any consequences, so this is why they constantly do it. For those who pick up a gun and terrorize our street like they doing, and it's not just New York, it's all over. Enough is enough. Terrorize our communities. We can't wait much longer. We need the legislators to fix the recent criminal justice reform laws. How could you do that? Put those judges back into those courts. Let the judges do their job. Let the judges do their job. We need those judges back in the courts. Not tomorrow. Not next day. When do we need them? Now. When do we want them? Now. Let's get those judges back into these courts. Let our community be safe again. We need safety all over the state. We need safety all over the state. And we need to work with these judges and work with the police department to have a safer street, a safer community, and a safer state. Put those judges back into the courts. Yeah. Woo. 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 Fire, fire. It's
Thank you. We're honored to have Commissioner Dermot Shea with us today. I'm going to bring him up next.
I feel a lot of heat up here now. There are many places that I could be today, but none is more important than being right here, right now, with the group of people that's standing behind me. So why are we here? We're here because we're tired. We're tired of our quality of life being degraded. We're tired of going shopping in our stores and having basic necessities locked up because criminals that go in and prey on store owners are caught, let go, and we feel like we're the ones being victimized. We're tired of senseless random attacks across New York State, on our streets, in our communities, of innocent New Yorkers feeling like prisoners in their own homes. When did that happen? Because of gang members being arrested over and over again with illegal firearms and then let get back right onto the streets again to make us feel unsafe. I am personally most tired of victims not being counted. We're tired of this crisis, and that's exactly what it is, a crisis, being ignored. Far too many children being lost. A crisis that's staring each and every one of us in the face, and somehow others hoping it will go away on its own. It will not. If you are silent on this issue, you can be silent no longer.
Yes.
If you are silent on this issue, as of today, you are part of the problem. Step one. How about acknowledging there is a problem? As I have said for 2 years now, these well-intentioned reforms to the laws that we support need slight modifications. We present you today, all of us, with a blueprint for those modifications. Vaccines are not going to cure this problem. This problem is not going away without fixes, and we present that blueprint to you today. This has always been, and still is, about people, about the victims behind me having a voice, about loved ones taken from us far, far too soon, about having to live with the pain of wondering what could have been. I would like to thank, from the bottom of my heart, all of the community members behind me for coming out today and standing side by side with members of the law enforcement profession. As we are here today with you, locking arms, we will continue across the state to be with you here today and every day in solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Eve Hendricks from Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save.
Good afternoon. My name is Eve Hendricks. I'm the mother of Brandon Hendricks. Brandon was killed June 29th, 2020, attending his friend's birthday barbecue. He was senselessly killed by a monster hiding behind a gun. Yes. So, I believe that dangerous criminals should not be let right back out after they are arrested. They should not be left out after they are arrested. If you want to be on the street, be decent. Because if you commit the crime, you are going to pay the time. Judges should have the power to keep dangerous people off the street. It is time, politicians, to take the cuffs off the judges' hand. They need to do their jobs. They need to be freed to do their jobs. New York is the only state in the country where this is so. We, as family of murdered victims, support the bail law to give judges the power to do so. Victims and witnesses who cooperate with police should not have their names said, their names and addresses automatically given to criminal defendants.
That's right.
They should not, because we know what will happen. If I kill someone and my lawyer gave me the person who's going to testify against me, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to let that person rest easy, because I'm not going to go to prison. So we have to protect those people. Their identity should not be out in public. Victim and witnesses' identities should automatically be protected. We support amending the discovery law to automatically protect the identities of crime victims and witnesses. People who keep committing crimes should not repeatedly getting tickets released from the precinct within hours. And that is a slap on the wrist. That is a slap on the face. What we as family of murder victims would like to see is a summary of proposal amendment bail. Number one, eliminate cash bail from anyone involved in murder. Number two, allow judges to consider defendants' public safety risk. Number three, amend the statute of limitation so that the individuals who commit crimes days before their 18th birthday be able to be prosecuted after their 18th birthday. To the governor, Madam Governor, council members, and all who has say so, you may not be the one to pull the trigger, but allowing the bail reform not to be changed is allowing murderers to walk the street and possibly killing our children, our families, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Tell me, how would you feel to open your child, your loved one's bedroom door, realizing they are no longer there? How would you feel to open your child, your loved one room, and realizing they are no longer there? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We need peace in our communities. We need peace in our schools. We need the law to change. The ones that are responsible need to fix the law, and they need to fix it now, because we're tired of having our children killed. We're tired of criminals, murderers, walking in the streets, doing the same act over and over and over and over again. We're tired of our kids being killed over and over and over and over again. We are tired, and we need that law to be changed. Not yesterday, not last week, but today, right now. We need this law to change before January 1st. We need this law to change before everyone turn over, before you pass the torches. Change the laws. Because if this reach your doorstep, if you pass your bedroom door and see your child's room empty, you have no one to blame but yourself. Do what you have to do and change the law. Give the judges the freedom. Give the judges the freedom to make the right decisions to save our youth. Save the future. My son could have been the next president. Her son could have been a lawyer. Her son could have been a DA. But because of murderers that you are willing to set back on the streets, we have to pass their rooms empty. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chief Kenton Buckner, City of Syracuse.
Yes, I'm cold. Good afternoon. I would first like to, say to our legislators, please do not receive this as an affront to your hard work. We believe that good people with good intentions had the courage to take on criminal justice reform, and it was in much need of an overhaul. We're simply saying here today that there are opportunities for improvement, specifically to protect the very people that the original legislation was intended to protect. There are clear unintended consequences. This is a very strong state, and the same courage that we had to take on this very difficult topic, we need to have that same courage to recognize that there's opportunity for improvement and to come back to the table and make the appropriate adjustments. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Milagro Ortega from the Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save.
Good afternoon. Stop the violence!
Stop the violence!
Stop the violence!
Stop the violence!
My name is Milagros Ortega, and my son was murdered February 2nd, 2013. Today, I ask you to let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, we are called to live in peace. Colossians 3:15. Don't let your emotions be your decision maker, because we, the parents that are standing here making decisions for our children to end this bail reform, you cannot give a murderer a $1 bail, because everybody has $1 today. And if you're going to keep the bail reform, why don't you make it $250,000? And let's see where they're going to get the money from then. I stand here proudly with my peers behind me, that everybody in behind me that's standing has lost their children to gun violence.
You know that's right.
When is it going to end? And it's just not New York City. It's all over. I hate to look at the news to see another mother cry. It hurts me to the core to know that she will never see her son, her daughter, ever again. Why? Because the judges have no power to convict those that are killing our children, to convict those people that are coming from Baltimore, Maryland, bringing the guns into our communities. We are tired. We are tired. We are hurting. But it takes all of us, and then some, to stand here and to ask all of the people in power to please. You do not want to be in our shoes. Trust me when I tell you that. You will not be able to look in your child's room or explain to their sibling why their sibling is not coming home. Make a change. Not for just our kids, because our kids are gone now. Make it for your own children, for your own families, for the kids that are in school, for the future, for our kids that were doctors on our way to become lawyers. They were somebody. Now they are heaven. They are angels in heaven. And it's not fair that I have to stand here and ask my local politicians to make change so they don't have to stand here and talk to none of you guys. So you take this message back to your people and you let them know that we are tired and we are hurting. We can't do it no more. So please, tweak it just a little bit. Just a little bit. So you don't get another mother standing here. Thank you for listening. My name is Milagros Ortega.
Next, we have District Attorney David Soares from Albany County. I don't even understand how you follow mothers who have given the most, who have sacrificed the most in this effort to bring equity, transparency, and a better system for justice. You know, I would remind everyone here to listen to the very first words that were uttered when this press conference started, and the very first words that were uttered was that we know that change was long in coming. It was overdue. Dropping documents, you know, the eve of trial for unfair advantages, those are practices that no one can tolerate. Those remarks came from a representative of law enforcement. And I think those of us in the District Attorneys Association join in the Police Association in continuing to repeat that. We've known for a long time that change needed to happen. But the changes that did happen have not benefited the community at large. It has benefited some, but it has not benefited the very community that the advocates and those who wanted this change claimed
we're going to change. As a matter of fact, what we see now are the membership of mothers and families who continue to lose loved ones grow. And we, those of us who are supposed to be protecting, consoling, and removing the violence from our communities, are left with our hands in our pockets, feeling helpless that we can't do the job that we were put on this earth to do, and that's to bring justice to families. So today we're here, and there's a lot of anger and pain and outrage. But today we're here seeking reasonable amendments and reasonable modifications. Imagine that. What we're asking, as a group of people that are huddled in the cold today, what we're asking is for a judge to be permitted to consider dangerousness. Imagine that. What we're asking is for a court to reconsider and allow for us to provide documents to opposing counsel in a staggered fashion so that we're not having to expose witnesses to the most violent crimes 30 days after there's an arraignment of a defendant, someone who stands accused. That's what we're asking, you know. And I understand this, and I'll be very brief in saying this. The people who continue to support moving farther with these reforms may share in the virtue, but trust me when I say they do not share in the burden. No. Because the only people who have continued to be burdened are the people here who have lost, and they've lost the most. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Stephanie Mcgraw from Warm.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Mcgraw. I'm the founder and CEO of WARM. That stands for We All Really Matter. And if you're cold, just simply come to WARM. We'll warm you up. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am here on the behalf of every voice that could not speak. For every woman that was murdered by gun violence, I'm here to speak. We just lost Shanice Young. Her fiance was a repeated offender, but because we didn't have jail reform laws changed, he was able to get out and murder Shanice. We just lost 2 weeks ago Brittany Duffy, who was murdered by her boyfriend in the house. And we have children that are seeing these murders. So one of the things we want to talk about, we got to stop this criminal, dangerous criminals should not have the right to get out of jail after they commit a crime. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. But why are they doing the crime and not getting no time? Something has to change. We're tired of changing the seats on the Titanic. We want to get off that boat and start making changes. We don't want no more, just give me a quick little facelift, and then everything is fixed. Because we know that ain't fixing nothing. Because what happens is internal. This is internal right here. We need the governors. We need the President of the United States. We need all the lawmakers to give the power to the judges. Let them make the decision. I want to tell you about Luis Gabriel Ramos. He was arrested for arson on October 26th, released because of the bail reform. Somebody say reform. Reform. Got out and immediately killed 2 women on November 1st. We need to protect our victims. We say we have laws, we have police, we have protocol to protect our victims and people on the street. This is not an issue that we're saying, well, it's he, she, them. We're not blaming. This is a human issue, and it's going to take a human person, people, to make change. We got to see the change we want to see in this world. Be the change you want to see in this world. We're here today. We stand strong. Stephanie Mcgraw and Harlem Mother say, Jackie Rowe Adams, because we are the boots on the ground. We are the ones that are out there seeing a crime. We know how much a gallon of milk costs in our bodega. Why? Because we're in the communities. You can't come and make change in my community if you don't know my conditions. So come talk to me, Mr. President. Come get from behind that seat like the commissioner. He walks with us. He talks with us. He's with us. He marches with us. That's how we're going to make change. So I'm saying I'm commissioning every single life, every single voice, every single ear, everyone that's here this day that's listening to what we're saying. Get behind us and help us change this bail reform so we can make our streets safe. Thank you so much.
From the great city of Buffalo, Deputy Chief Joe Gramaglia.
Thank you.
You better find out.
So when bail reform was first put in, the unfortunate issue is that the police officials did not have a seat at the table. And everyone standing behind me will tell you that they supported the fact that changes needed to be made. The system was not fair. The unintended consequence of that is that it removed fear from the system. You have criminals out there, people out there that are committing larcenies, robberies, assaulting people, burglaries, stealing your cars, and they know that they are going to walk out at arraignment, and that's not right. That does not keep our community safe. We're asking for a seat at the table the second time. We want to make some minor changes so that we can do what we do best and keep our community safe. That's all we're asking, is to keep people safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have Mona Davids from the School Safety Coalition.
Yes. Okay, Mona.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I want to say, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Jackie Rowe Adams, who has been on the front lines of this issue for decades. I want to thank our NYPD Commissioner Shea for standing with our communities on this issue. I want to thank all of our police chiefs and our district attorneys for standing with mothers, with community members, with all of us who are living in communities that are under siege because of gun violence and because of these bail reforms. I stand here and I listen to Eve. I listen to the other mothers. And as a mother of a 13-year-old young black man living in the Bronx, my heart is so sore. But it's because of them, because of what they've gone through. That is why I am here. Because I do not want my child, my son, or any mother's son to be a victim of the rampant gun violence going on in our communities. I understand the reasons why our legislators decided that they need to pass these laws. I understand the tragedy that happened to Khalif Browder from the Bronx, where I live with my 13-year-old young black man that I am raising. But this good intention that our legislators have passed have created so many unintended consequences in our communities. We are under siege. Our children can't go to the park. They can't go to the corner store. They can't even go to school without being shot. I don't think that's what Khalif Browder or his family would want. As a member of the School Safety Coalition, of the NYC School Safety Coalition, we see the consequences of these bail reform laws, of these raise the age laws, and on preventing judges from knowing the full story of everyone that comes before them. We have weapons being found in our schools, in New York City schools, on a weekly basis. We have almost 30 teens just this year who have been killed by guns. And we can trace the surge, the direct correlation between what is happening in our communities, that these laws were supposed to help. It's not helping us because we have almost 30 teenagers who are dead because of gun violence. These are teenagers killed by other teenagers. I keep on saying, I don't want to be like Jackie or Eve. No mother does. And while I understand the messaging and the narrative of this press conference, I want to make something clear. As a black mother of a 13-year-old son, I do not fear the NYPD. I'm not worried about the NYPD or any police officer hurting my child, because the likelihood is that it's going to be someone that looks like my child hurting my child. We have to be honest in our communities. These laws are not working. These laws were created. The people behind these laws say that these laws were there to protect our children. But we have teenagers with multiple gun possession charges being released hours later to their parents. Their cases transferred to family court. And when they go in front of the judge doesn't know that this is the second, third, or fourth gun possession charge. And then those teens are going out and they're killing other mothers' children. They're killing fathers. They're killing mothers. These laws need to be fixed. And the onus is on our legislators. Carl Hastie, Jamal Bailey, like Khalif Browder, they are from the Bronx. And it is the Bronx that is the epicenter of gun violence in New York City. And now the entire state is being held hostage because of these gun reform laws. These criminal justice laws are not working. We need our legislators to change the law. As Eve said, they don't want to be the parent, the mother, or the father that walks past that empty bedroom door. I do not want to be that mother that walks past that empty bedroom door. We need them to change these laws. We need them to fix these laws. And we need them to give the judges the power and the discretion to know the full story. Because releasing these teens They'll either kill someone or the streets will kill them. And that's what's been happening. Thank you.
From Orange County, District Attorney David Hubler.
Good afternoon. 2 years ago, I stood at a press conference here along with the police chiefs and others, and I said that the reforms that were coming were well-meaning. Some of them were necessary. They were not well thought out. And I said at that time, the reforms, we're going to put the defendants first and the victims second. 2 years later, we know that that's true. What we're here today asking for is some reasonable change when it comes to bail, when it comes to discovery, and when it comes to raise the age. The reforms that we are asking are fair. They will make our community safer, and hopefully, when they're implemented, they will make sure that there are not any more mothers and family members standing here like these men and women here today are that had to go through what they went through. Let's make reasonable changes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Rackley from Warm.
Come on, Jim.
How y'all doing? My name is Jim. I'm a representative of Warm. Now, my issue I'm having is with this bail reform. We need to have more stricter laws for these guns. I lost a nephew this summer in August, Stephen Little. My best friend Terrence Chapman lost his son 3 weeks ago, 16, to senseless gun violence for no reason. Steph was killed because he tried to help his friend, stepping from his friend being shot and was killed. You know what I mean? These gun laws need to be changed. For domestic violence, we need to protect our women more as men. And not only that, when we talk about these crimes and these laws, the legislators need to give these kids more things to do too. Because if we have nothing to do, they commit crimes. It's easy to get in trouble, hard to get out of. But if you have something to do, it'd be less crimes to commit. You know what I mean? So we got to find an alternative too to give these children then things to do. But we also have to step up and protect our community. Not only leaving it to the NYPD or the police in any state. We have to step up in the community and protect our people ourselves too. We can intervene and step in when we see children or somebody doing something wrong, whether it's a kid or adult. Stop it. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth you lose your life going to jail. You know what I mean? It takes 2.5 seconds to commit a crime and to lose your life the rest of your life. And we have to step in and protect our women too. Like I said, it ain't just the NYPD, it's us too. Us being men. We have to step in and protect our women. When I was younger growing up, and I seen people in the street, or women doing, they got dealt with. Whether not just with the cops, they got dealt with. Because we have to protect our women. Without women, we have nothing. I don't care how much people say this, without a woman, we wouldn't be here. Without a woman, this world wouldn't run, because behind every good man is a great woman. And I ain't gonna say behind, with every great man, there's a great woman standing next to them, not behind them. Because we need to teach them to be right next to them, not a head right next to us. There's nobody left behind. So that's what we need to do. We need to step up, change these laws, let these judges get back in a position and do what they need to do. And protect our women on domestic violence and make these crimes, make these charges stick. There's no reason why you should go upside a woman's head and be out of jail tomorrow morning. There's no reason why you should kill somebody and be out of jail tomorrow morning. Because I know back then if I shot somebody, I ain't never come home. If I beat up a woman, I ain't never come home. I know men in jail that's still in jail till this day. That I was a little kid for murder, they ain't home yet. I know people that did things to women that wasn't, but ain't home yet. So let's go back to having them same laws put back in effect. And let's protect our community, our women, our children, protect ourselves. So let's make stricter laws for these guns and stricter laws for domestic violence. And that's what I have to say. You have a good day.
I know we have a lot of speakers, but it just emphasizes the importance of this event. So we're getting down to the end. We have with us all the way from Erie County, District Attorney John Flynn.
I brought all this warm weather from Buffalo. So, yeah. So, thank you, Pat, and thank you for having me here today. Listen here, we all know the numbers. The numbers of non-fatal shootings and homicides have gone up 100% in Buffalo from 2020 to 2019. The first 6 months of 2021, they went up additional 100% nonviolent, non-fatal shootings in the city of Buffalo. What we're asking for, what we've been asking for the past 2 years, is some common sense middle ground. We live in a world of extremes. We went from one extreme where a kid is sitting in jail for stealing a candy bar at Walmart because he can't afford bail. And now we go to the other extreme where a kid with a gun is now getting let out the next morning. We go from one extreme of giving defense lawyers the discovery on the day of trial. Not only extreme, but wrong. None of us want that. Now we go to another extreme of giving material within 15 days of arraignment. Let's get away from the extremes. Let's get to some common sense middle ground. That's all we're asking for. That's all we want. And each and every day, all of us, from every police chief here to every DA here to these mothers and fathers, all we want is fair treatment of everybody with common sense laws and common sense rules and common sense people doing the rules. Let's get to that point right now. Let's do it on January 1st, and all of us here working together can get this done. Thank you.
And our final speaker is James Nolan. He's from the Westchester County Legislature.
Thank you. My name is my name is James Nolan. I'm a newly elected county legislator for Westchester County. But also I'm here because my brother was killed in a drive-by shooting in 2015. My brother is an Oakland A's baseball player, and I made a promise to do what's right for him. The two women you referred to, I knew them. I worked with the woman, Isabel. I made a promise to my brother to do what is needed to address this rising crime. And that's why I ran for office. My opponent was too far to the left and tried to tell the person that lost their brother, the gun violence, that crime was down. Crime is not down. And it's time for a change. It's time for change. And when I was running, I said I want to make sure that Albany hears from me in Westchester County. And that's what I'm doing. The bail reform and the raise the age needs to be addressed, and it needs to be modified now. Because if not, I'm not going to have to deal with it. They're going to have to deal with it. But also, these parents are going to have to feel more pain seeing that their elected officials in Albany let them down. As long as I'm elected, I want to make sure they hear my voice and everybody else's voice. This needs to be changed, and needs to be changed now. And it can no longer happen. So please, make the modifications, and let's do what's needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's cold. We were available for questions.
For anyone in law enforcement, usually the supporters of the existing statutes and the ones that want them to go further argue that there is no evidence to support the idea that bail and discovery reform had any negative impacts. And a lot of the stories we heard today, they will acknowledge that they heard them, but they sort of just brush them off as anecdotal evidence. What do you say to the people, because there are supermajorities in both houses right now, what do you say to those people to convince them that there is actually a problem, first of all, and that they should change it?
Well, I'll let anybody that wants to address that feel free to step forward from law enforcement. But if listening to the people standing behind me doesn't convince you, then I don't know what will. We have 2 years worth of data and statistics, and we can give you all the data that you want. We have plenty of anecdotal stories, but this isn't about data; it's about people, and that's why we have these people with us, standing here with us today. Why we're arm in arm with these folks behind me. If those stories don't move you, I don't know what will, and if they don't move our legislature, I don't know what will. Anybody else want to answer that? Or did I do a good job?
What he said. What he said.
Specifically for Commissioner Shea, if you could step up to the mic. I'm curious about the stats in New York City when it comes to the rise in crime since early 2020, and just sort of where are things trending? We don't have that much data post-bail reform, but where are things headed?
Well, I think I would say the exact same thing. This isn't about data, and it's not about numbers. It's about people. And when you look behind me here, no one knows better than what's happening in communities than the people that live in those communities. Why don't you ask them? Ask them what it's like when they hear gunshots and they got to duck down in their own living room. Right?
Say that again.
Ask them when they send their kids to school, and they're more worried about if their kids are going to come home than what their grade is. It's time to fix the laws. Fix them now.
Yes.
For any of the advocates that want to speak on this, one of the things that's hard to communicate to people who don't see a problem is that you can't quantify the effects of someone knowing that they will get out the next morning. There isn't a survey when someone shoots someone going, oh, did you do this because of bail reform? So how do you explain to people that the mentality of someone who is at risk of committing a crime will change because they know they'll get out?
Well, I wasn't going to address anything, but you heard the word today. You heard the moms and dads, the DAs, the families say to you, to everyone, that we dealing with crime every day. Matter of fact, as we stand here today, somebody's getting killed. Somebody's child is getting shot. And you know how we measure it? We measure it when we walk in the street and our children can't go to the store. When our community is under siege. We measure it when we see the same kid out in the street that just killed his friend. We measure it when we get the moms and dads into our support group, Harlem Mother Save. Every day it is growing. We are sick and tired of getting moms and families that have lost their loved ones and need our support and hurting with the pain, need bereavement counseling, dealing with trauma. That's how we measure it. How did that same person get out? How did they get out? Because they was let out. Nobody cares. Now, if it was a police killing us, everybody will be up in arms. This place would be packed. Every media would be standing here because a police shot. Well, we shooting us, and that's how we measure it. Enough is enough. And I tell you, when you go home and turn on that TV, I bet you about 3-4 people that got killed by illegal guns. We measure it with gun trafficking. Keep bringing these illegal guns into our community, putting them into our kids' heads. And our kids and our bodegas in the community selling these guns to our children. We want all of you to go out there in the street. Not only New York, pay attention to your community. We measure it when our elected officials that I have very great respect for is not doing what they supposed to do, because that only time they want to do something is when the police kill us. Well, that's going to stop, because we're killing us and it must stop. Now, I'm going to tell you how we going to measure it again. We going to measure it when January 1st comes, and I want the media to hear this. Eric Adams, our new mayor, is going to help us measure it. Eric Adams is going to put a stop to this. And we're going to work closely with him, because he was with us 2006, and I mean Harlem Mother Save. Eric Adams was the sergeant of the 100 black law enforcement, and he stood on the steps of City Hall then and called these guns. He ain't just start this. Now everybody better get up and get out and stop turning their heads and sweeping our kids and families getting killed under the rug. Stop waiting for a police officer to shoot somebody that everybody's up in arms. That's how we measure it. That's how we measure it. And enough is enough, and you all better start measuring it. Thank you.
Yeah, what she said. Is there any other questions? All right, thank you for coming. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you bringing the cold, and we're hopeful for change. Thank you.